So it was just yesterday where I came out with my truth. I expressed what I went through in the modeling industry and the darkest side of the entertainment industry. It wasn't easy, and I'm extremely nervous on the outcome and comments to come from the fact that I spoke as truth. Now, granted, in my details that I gave yesterday, I didn't get too detail oriented because I would prefer to allow certain stories and life events to kind of naturally bring out some of those life lessons for my 20s in these video vlogs for you. That's where I like to see it. So, and anyways, we also got news yesterday. We're in the middle of this pandemic, and here in North Carolina, yesterday evening, I got the news that our governor has decided to stay in the phase 2 reopening for another 5 weeks. Well, we've been in phase 2 of reopening since May. We have not gone very far off the beaten path by any means. We've stayed very much shut down, and it's a little bit more of a stress recently. I'm starting to see the impacts with family friends on their small businesses and the nonprofits who are now so struggling with this pandemic. I would be lying if I said my clinic isn't struggling right now. We are treading water every day. But it made me think of a conversation I had recently with my church. I was on the phone with our youth minister up here, and we were discussing ways to help teens get through this pandemic. And it naturally just started talking about, as an adult, as a human being, how are we getting through this? How are we staying sane? How are we not losing hope? How are we not losing faith? And so I brought to the attention, it's so important to keep a routine. And I felt like that's something I needed to bring up immediately today. I needed to discuss what that meant, because right now I'm sure all of us are feeling as though we're still in a shit show. And there doesn't seem to be a light at the end of the tunnel yet. You know, for some states, they reopened and then closed back down and then reopened again and then closed back down. For other states, they've stayed open and just allowed this pandemic to be a circus. And then for others, they have continuously stayed closed. But no matter the unique fingerprint of what your state is going through in this pandemic and how they're handling it, we all are going through similar mental awareness right now. One of the biggest challenges for me myself when we went into quarantine was lack of routine. Absolutely. I loved my routine. I would get up at 6. I would go for a jog, a walk, or meditate. I would get my daughter up and ready for the day. We would have breakfast. We would watch the news. And we were out the door by 9:30 every morning. Now, 9:30 seems a little late for some, but my office isn't open until 10, and my daughter's 3. So, I got to have a little bit more time in the morning to hang out with her, and it was leisurely, but it's still a routine. And then I would come into the office and I would take calls, and we would occasionally have people come in and out of our clinic daily, and there was just more of an atmosphere. On top of that, I really loved going out with my daughter. We would go out to dinner at least twice or 3 times a week. I love socializing with friends. One of the things that I'm missing in our activities is I have an annual pass to the Biltmore. And though we can still get on the property of the Biltmore estate at this time, all of the little events and activities that we would do together, my daughter and I, are closed. For example, the petting zoo, full of wonderful farm animals, and we used to love to go pet the goats and see the chickens and see the horses and donkeys. That's closed. The playgrounds here are still closed. The playgrounds are closed everywhere. There isn't that activity to go to the playground and enjoy the evening. And so it's like, how do you find things to keep you going? I think sometimes it's easier said than done, especially in this pandemic. It's so easy for us to get in a dark place. It's so easy for us to think on and reflect on our depression, our mental health, our do's, our don'ts. Even it's even easier now to compare ourselves to others, and oh wow, she's further along in her life than I am, and oh wow, they just bought a new house together and they get to enjoy that new house during pandemic, and I'm still renting an apartment. Whatever it may be, there's more time in our mind. Nonetheless, there's more time to self reflect, and for all those little voices in our head to continue to hit play, hit fast forward, hit rewind all day long. So how do we get through this? The biggest thing I have, or hoped I have taught my clients about routine, is finding things that bring you joy. So in pandemic, I've had to remind myself of this. And now, as of yesterday evening, getting word that we are still going to stay in a closed state for another 5 weeks, the exhaustion of thinking of how to keep myself going and what brings me joy honestly is a little overwhelming at times. I can say that. I'm a life coach, but I'm human, and things sometimes just seem overwhelming and exhausting, and what's next, and how are we going to survive, and So first and foremost, I start my day with a gratitude. Recently, every day my gratitude is, I'm grateful for the roof over my head. I'm grateful to keep food on the table. I'm grateful to have the means to continue to keep food in my dog's bowls. I am grateful still that I get to walk most evenings around the lake I live on with my kiddo, and we get to have this moment together that's just for us. I am grateful that I get a good night's rest. I am grateful for my health. And I'm grateful for this time to be able to work on my brand and my company. It's a very slow period right now. It's just a great time for rebranding and pushing forward new light. For example, having the self-esteem and confidence to tell you yesterday about my story and the real, raw truth of what I went through in my 20s. That took a lot of energy and time, and a lot of time to reflect to do that. And mind you, too, as a life coach, to be certified, to go through the process to be a life coach, you have to go through your own sessions. You have to go through your own process to have a healthy mindset. If you don't have a healthy mindset, how are you going to help others? So I always have to keep that in mind during this pandemic time, because sometimes it's really easy to have what I call a day off. I recently had one earlier this week. My daughter was home. There was hurricane winds and rain, and I spent the day Monday at home with her, and before I knew it, it was 3 o'clock on Monday, and realized I missed 2 Zoom meetings and had this oh crap moment. It's Monday, because of knowing that there was a hurricane day. I kind of just went into just automatic mode of just laziness and hanging out with my kiddo and kind of just being a mom, and honestly having a little bit of a mom brain that day. And I was just like, oh, I just get to relax today. It's raining. My kid wants to watch a Disney movie. She wants to eat Doritos. We want to just hang out and veg out. We can do this. And then realized I still needed to be an adult, and I missed some responsibilities, and I had to greatly apologize for those missed opportunities. I was super embarrassed, and I blamed my mom brain. I was like, hey, it has been a busy several weeks, and I just had mom brain, and honestly totally forgot it was Monday. Absolutely. Just thought it was another Sunday. So it's okay to have what I call off days, is what I'm saying. It's okay to have days, especially this pandemic, where you just want to curl up in a blanket burrito and watch your favorite movies or binge watch something on Netflix and just chill. But you can't do that every day. If you do that every day, you're going to lose yourself. You're going to start feeling like it's easier and easier to give up because you get into that slump. When we get into slumps, we forget what we're good at. We forget what brings us joy. We forget the hobbies that bring us joy. So on top of my mornings of gratitude, which I do daily, on top of that, I also continue with my daily affirmations that are little post-its around my house and on my bathroom mirror of, I'm beautiful, I'm loved, I am a good mom, I am a good life coach, I am Mo Life. Yeah, I have a post-it that reminds me that I am Mo Life. Read it every day. So you get gratitude, you get affirmations. Okay, those are healthy for the mindset. But what can bring you joy? Okay? Well, I started some old hobbies that I love. For example, I love puzzles. And what do I love more than puzzles? I love Disney. So I've been doing Thomas Kinkade Disney-themed puzzles. And then when I'm bored with that, because I love Disney and it's something that both my daughter and I are very much missing at this time, I do Disney coloring books. Now sometimes the Disney coloring books are as easy as the ones that I give my daughter and we color together. And then sometimes it's more complicated and more detail oriented with an adult coloring book, like the Thomas Kinkade Disney Landscapes coloring book. See the trend there? So those are inside activities. I also try to get back into painting. I'm also pushing myself to read books. Now, I do have ADD, and I'm not afraid to tell you that. It's very hard for me to sit down for hours and read a book. So what I do is I get the book and the Audible. Well, Monica, if you have the Audible, why do you get the book? Well, I'm also a visual learner. So when I'm listening to the book on tape, I'm also reading along, and it gets up here. I sponge it better. I sponge it better. Woo. So I get back into reading. I expand my knowledge. I expand how I can grow, and this can grow, and mine can grow. I also got into masterclass where I'm learning some really great techniques on how to write a good story. And then I'm like, okay, well, again, I'm doing things inside, okay? Yes, we're quarantined, but we don't have to stay put. There's this thing called a backyard, and there's this thing called outside. We can walk around the neighborhood. I've been doing that more. I have been pushing myself to make sure that I walk the whole lake with my daughter at least once a day, sometimes twice a day, depending on the heat. It is summertime. And that takes about 45 minutes to walk around the entire lake. That's also really good. And it gets us outside in some fresh air. What else can we do? Well, we can go hiking. Up in those mountains in the woods, there's not many people out there. So we can do that too. And then I've had a lot of fun of being creative to do these really fun-filled afternoons outside on the back patio. So I have this little back patio with chairs and a table, and then I have a water table for my daughter, and I have a bench as well, and then we have a hammock. So nonetheless, in my backyard, there's a lot of enjoyment, entertainment. So what I've added to is when we are outside on the back porch, we play with Connect Sand. We play in the water table and make new colors with the water with food dye. We get the hose out. We play in the splash pad. We find things outside to entertain us. But what I'm also doing, it's a secret hobby. It is. I get to play with my kiddo and be a kid with her. That in itself brings me tons of joy. I love being a kid with her. That's why I love taking her to Disney as much as we, used to. Right now, So, we go to Disney. I always love going to Disney with her because for the most part, I would turn off my phone or put it on Do Not Disturb, and it was her and I time, or her, I, and her father's time, where we would just play and be a kid and ride rides and see the characters and get excited together. So we've done that at home. And one really fun thing I started to do with her, and this was towards the beginning of quarantine, is in the evenings, we do a Disney night. So pretty much from like 8 to 9 o'clock, I go on YouTube, and we pick rides, or she picks rides. She would like to ride. So we go through and we ride these rides, and we get on the bench, and we stay right there in the front of the TV, and we ride a ride, like we're at Disney. And then we watch Disney fireworks or a Disney parade, and we get excited as though we were just right there on their main street watching the parade or fireworks in that moment. We make it really fun. So it's key to have things that are fun, that are creative. Now, if you don't have a kid and you don't have that type of entertainment and you're by yourself, this is a good time to pick up gardening, pick up a couple plants, read a book, find a new hobby, find a new activity that you haven't done before. I personally have tried needle pointing before. I wasn't that good at it. I've tried knitting before. I bought out all the things. I knitted for like 2 weeks and then stopped and then never picked up the knitting needles ever again. So I'm probably not the best person to tell you what kind of craft or project to start, but there's tons out there. And thanks to Amazon and Michaels and Joann, you can now order things online and it comes to your door and you can find something new and exciting. So what am I getting at with all this? Well, it's simple. It's important to keep up with a routine daily. Now, we can have our off days just like we have our weekends, but to really feel like we still have importance for ourselves, for our community, for the people around us, for our family, it's important to continue to do stuff for yourself. And that may mean that happy hour starts at 4 o'clock instead of 5. But it's important that in this time, you're picking things that really can bring you joy. Now, we are all on a tight budget, so sometimes we're not able to pick out new hobbies or try to find something new in crafts to keep us entertained. So what else can we do? I'm sure most of you have paper and pen in your house or your phone. Start jotting down your thoughts, your feelings. Start jotting down what makes you angry or makes you sad. Start jotting down a letter to self. Get to know you again. It's a scary thing to do. Trust me, I was just there. It was terrifying to get to know me again. But since I did so, I am my own best friend, and I'm loving it. I'm loving who I was able to find out who I was and who I am, and I'm honestly like totally in love with myself all over again. And that's taken a lot of time to get here, but I'm happy. You got this. We got this. I will leave you on this. Please continue to stay kind to others. I know it's easy to lash out on social media and other platforms about your frustrations, your fears, your angers. And with so much negativity that is just surrounding the news and politics right now, it's really easy to get ticked off. It's easy to be triggered right now. But remember, everyone has a unique fingerprint. And everyone is going through something uniquely different than you. But at the same time, we're all going through the same situation right now. That should be the beauty in this. We all have our own unique struggles. We're all battling and pushing obstacles left and right now. But the beauty is we're all dealing with the same problem. It never has really happened before, unless you look at something as tragic as an event like September 11th. That was the last time I feel like we were all together and grieving and angry and confused. We are still all grieving right now. We are all angry. We are all going through something, a struggle of some sort. So be kind. Show kindness. Show love. Even show the slightest bit of joy. It wouldn't hurt. Because at the end of the day, when there is the light at the end of the tunnel, which, believe it or not, there is, we can look back on our friends and our community as a source of love, support, and hugs. Have a beautiful day. I'm Mo, and this is Mo Life, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Remember to keep your chin up. We're all in this together. And go out there and find something that really brings you joy. Maybe start making necklaces or coloring like I do. Or maybe bring out the 3-year-old self in you. Find something that you can truly embrace in every day right now that is recognizable to you, to be you. That's important. Be you. Have a great day, guys.